Thanks so much, Micah. We're very happy to be here today. Because of the time crunch, I will be moving a little more quickly through the background information about Voice Media Ventures and getting straight to the maps, and maybe even moving a little bit more quickly through the story map as well. Just as a quick introduction, I'm Candace Mays, Project Director of Mapping Black California, which is an entity within the Voice Media Ventures universe. I will be framing the Disinvested Communities Map with additional information about Orange County's demographic landscape. And my project manager, Alex Reed, is also here with us today. As our primary map maker, she will also be discussing the map itself in tandem with the supplemental information. I'm going to skip over a lot of other information that I was going to talk about, and so we will jump right into it. This first map that we are presenting to you today is the Disinvested Communities Map, and we're viewing it as the foundational spatialized visualization for orienting all of you on the HRTC committee to where communities of need specifically reside and their obstacles. Very quickly, I want to orient you a little bit to the story map. On the left-hand side, you will see supplemental information about the Orange County communities, which we use to inform and ground a lot of the information that you'll see on the right-hand side in the map that we've developed. We leverage Policy Links report and equity profile of Orange County as an orienting guide throughout this presentation, and that report states among the 150 largest regions, Orange County is ranked 58th in terms of income inequality, ranking higher than nearby San Diego metro area. While the working poverty rate in the region was lower than the national average in 1980 and 1990, it grew at a faster rate between 1990 and 2000 and is now on par with the national average. Racial and gender wage gaps persist in the labor market, and closing these gaps in economic opportunity and outcomes will likely be key to the region's future. And this is really what we saw as we begin to develop our maps. In Orange County, we begin with the community breakdown, and in Orange County, we see that people of color are driving the region's growth. If you look at these graphs that we pulled from the Policy Link report, you can see the increasing populations over the years in communities of color, right? And as a part of that, there is simultaneously a steady decrease in predominantly white populations. If you look across from 1980 to 1990, there was growth, and then that growth stops from 1990 to 2000, and the trend is continuing into 2016, and I speculate 2020 as well. Alex, would you like to discuss this first layer of the map, which includes looking at the predominant populations of color in the county?
Yes, so I just wanted to go ahead and help with some basic instruction on navigation of this map. Towards the end of this presentation, we'll share the overall map app that exists outside of this slide deck. I've shared the slide deck in the chat as well, if you'd like to follow along on your own computers or screens. But pretty much there will be 4 different layers that we go through on this. This first base layer that we're looking at right now is talking about the population by race in terms of spread, and then predominant population across Orange County. There are 3 predominant populations: white, Hispanic, Latino, or Asian. In white, we have our white predominancy areas, and then to really highlight the communities of color, which are a part of the communities of high impact that we'll talk about later on, we have Hispanic or Latino here in yellow, and then Asian here in red. Additionally, there is information as to historically tribal lands in Orange County. They are a part of this disadvantaged and disinvested communities definition we'll talk about a little bit later. So they're just highlighted here by their border lines in this dotted line. This layer on the map also contains all of our pop-ups. And these pop-ups just have a little bit more information about the races. So it also includes races that are not considered predominant in that area. And then a little bit of income and a little bit of share information. As you click through these charts, you'll be able to see all that. And Candace will talk a little bit more about income later on in this presentation.
Yes. And to keep it moving, I'm not going to go as deep in the graphs on the side because I'm aware of the time constraints. So predominantly Latino and Asian populations of color are largely concentrated in northern Orange County, as you can see from this map. And keep scrolling, Alex, please. And it's 2 groups with differing circumstances. So most of the Latino residents in Orange County are born in the United States, while many of the members of the Asian community were born abroad. Understanding the origins of the two largest communities of color, of the two largest communities of color in Orange County is paramount to understanding the increasing diversity across the region. If you look at the map to your right, you will see the growth and the spread of communities of colors across Orange County, but also you will notice a pattern of those communities flowering around previously established communities of color, which aligns with migratory patterns in many communities as well. People move to where they know people. The concentration of lower income areas overlap with communities of color whose populations have high unemployment rates across the board. And so as well in the maps, the graphs that we have featured to the right, you will see that communities of color are disproportionately represented in unemployment rates across racial groups, and are specifically, employment is the biggest challenge for members of the AAPI community as well as the Native American community. And that layer is featured in green on the map. And then we arrive at our disadvantaged areas layer. All low income areas are considered disadvantaged areas. These viewpoint breakdowns are precursors towards understanding the intersectional makeup of disadvantaged communities in the area. And this map layer was visualized using the EPA's CalEnviroscreen definition, which Alice will speak more to.
So this map layer is specifically highlighted in blue. It's the pre-designated disadvantaged areas. The CalEnviroscreen was not challenged, but challenged to identify areas that were in need of very specific funding with regards to sustainability and pollution. And so they have a calculation that they use talking about pollution burden and population characteristics to determine the Enviroscreen score for that area. And that score is what allows the designation of disadvantaged under SB 535, yes or no. And those constraints are being in the top 25% of scores for CalEnviroscreen, being in the top 5% of pollution scores for CalEnviroscreen, being previously identified in the 2017 round of this, and or being a tribally controlled land. So those areas highlighted in blue are pre-designated disadvantaged areas.
As part of our work with this map, we were asked to create an extended definition for Orange County of what disinvested communities means and looks like specifically within this region. And so we turned to areas of intersect, which show us how the stakes are higher for some than others. Areas of intersect outlined in red spotlight high interest, high target, high need, high risk communities because they are facing obstacles across all three major factors impacting both disadvantaged and disinvested communities. And you will see we have a little, I'm blanking on the name of the chart, but we have the three categories here, which are communities of color, low income areas, and disadvantaged areas. I want to point out that disinvested communities include any location with just one or more factors, because having just one factor signals disinvestment, thus putting those communities at risk. So for example, if you look closer to the coastline, you'll see some areas in green, and that notes areas that make below the median income in Orange County. And so we still include those as disinvested communities because making below the median income suggests that there might also be an issue with the income coming into the community as well as being reinvested into the community. And so from that, we were able to develop our extended definition of what a disinvested community is and looks like in Orange County. We call communities considered disadvantaged by CERF's definition alongside communities with only one of the disadvantaged qualifiers, specifically those whose residents earn less than Orange County's median income. And we extend this explanation by saying CERF's predefined definition of disinvested communities includes a variety of overlapping factors, prioritizing specific census tracts in need of immediate investment. While the challenges CERF qualifying disinvested communities face are intersectional, this map also highlights areas of Orange County in which a single factor, as mentioned before, such as making below Orange County's annual median income of $95,000, is a signifier of a census tract at risk for becoming disadvantaged. We all know now 100,000 doesn't go as far today as it did in 2000. For this reason, this map takes into consideration and identifies both census tract communities that meet all the criteria for qualifying as disinvested communities, alongside census tracts with only medium income as disadvantaged, and thus a warning signifier for becoming a disinvested community. And then this map alongside this expanded definition will also be featured on the CERF website. And if it hasn't happened already, Alex will be dropping a direct link to the map in the chat as